Hello and good evening to all the good viewers of this program who are watching this program with us in the English language. Um, Let me share the link as usual so that anybody who wants to watch it live can watch it with us. And I can also click on it and be able to have access to it. I'm also going to say hello and good evening to everybody who writes and texts in our channel in the chat section while we have the program going. All right, let me share the link with you guys about what we are going to talk about so that we can start our program. Okay, so very soon you should get this screen. Until you get it, I'm going to explain because the Persian one took a long time, so I'm going to try to move a little bit faster if possible so that I won't take too much of your time in the English language. The first link that you find, this is from MSN, very democratic supporting MSN. They talk about Zelensky firing his top general, a man that the people of Ukraine admired, liked. The reasoning for this is because Zelensky needs to prolong the war, doesn't want the war to end. He has to prolong it. Because there's a lot of money laundering going on from the United States through Biden sending all these monies over there. And, you got to do that money laundering. So you need a long period. This money laundering also weakens the United States as far as what it will have in reserve for an eventual World War III. They cannot have World War III with a strong America. They need a weak America. So therefore, the financing for a war has to be taken out before the war can take place. So that is part of the reason. At the same time, we see Tucker Carlson, the man who all the Republicans want to rally behind, goes to Russia, sits in front of Putin, and essentially turns into Putin's puppy. And we will explain to you why. If you go and you listen to that whole entire interview, I listened to the whole thing. If you listen to it, you will see every time Tucker questions Putin, Putin diverts that question. Instead of answering it, he answers a different question. Putin started the whole interview by giving an inaccurate historical timeline of what Russia and Ukraine is, how they came to be. When Tucker found out that, there's an inaccurate story being told to him, he asked a simple question: can you give me the dates of what you're talking about? And Putin didn't have anything. And then he just generalized the 13th century and so on. He didn't give an exact timeline. When you give a timeline, you don't just say in the 21st century. You say, for example, in 2022, and then you put a month to it, a date to it. If you're talking about something that happened thousands of years ago, where you cannot come up with a month and a date, that is one story. But Russia is not thousands of years old like countries like Greece, Iran, Israel, and so on. This is not Egypt that we're talking about. This is Russia and Ukraine. They've not been around that long where you lost track of the month and the date and you only go by a year. Okay. When he was asked questions regarding if he wants a truce with said Ukraine, he started to ask about, we wanted to have a missile program with the United States where we can have security and this and that and the other. But United States didn't want to do it with us, and they wanted to support the groups that want to go to war with Russia. It doesn't say countries that Russia has invaded that want to be separated, like Chechnya wants to be separated from Russia. All the so-called countries they created and took over that became part of USSR. Like, for example, the country of Arawan, which used to be a province of Iran, and now calls itself Azerbaijan, the country. Not the two provinces still in Iran, but the country. So you have all these different places. Putin says all of them refer to themselves as the land of Mother Russia. So next time you see somebody from Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and so on, you ask them from Kyrgyzstan, why you guys don't speak Russian? Why are you speaking Farsi and Turkish and other languages? And why don't you guys follow the Russian cooking and you have your own cooking? And why do you wear different type of clothing than them? Why do you have a different religion than them? Why do you have all these things? Putin says he and his Russia are the big supporters of Christianity, especially Eastern Orthodox. He forgets that under communism, they forbid all people from going to any institutional religious structure, whether it's Christian, Jewish, Muslim. They stop everybody from following religion. But he told Tucker, oh, they are the ones who back Eastern Orthodoxy. And he said that Zelensky is the one that's closing churches. Well, we don't see that happening under Zelensky's Ukraine. Though Zelensky is not a good man, we haven't seen him close down churches. But we do see that with Russia. We've seen it under their communists. And after their communism, they're still giving problems. They still target people and send them to Israel and evacuate them out of their homelands that they call Mother Russia. So we saw Putin go ahead and say all kinds of things. He said, if the war wants to stop between us and Ukraine, America, Germany, and the rest need to stop supporting Ukraine. Don't give them money or weapons. And then in a few weeks, you will see that the war will be settled. In other words, in a few weeks, we will take over Ukraine, invade the whole entire area, call it our own. We saw Putin talk about how the two countries he's got problems with in Europe after Ukraine are Germany and Poland, because they're the big supporters. And Poland helped Germany in World War I and World War II, and they got a problem with them. And they want their pipelines to be open through Germany so that they can make more money. And he forgot to tell Tucker that by opening the pipelines, of course, Russia will become richer, and by richer, they can finance a bigger war. He forgot to mention that part, but he did tell how it would be beneficial for Germany because they can sell the oil from Russia and the natural gas of Russia to the rest of Europe. That's why Germany should go along with what Russia says. In other words, they want Germany to turn into a satellite state for Russia, where Russia can dictate and Germany will just follow the orders. In other words, he wants to put together the old Soviet blockade of Eastern Europe and Russia that USSR once had control over. He forgets to mention that part, but says it's really the fault of NATO and everybody else who are underlining it and all this nonsense. And Tucker Carlson just sat there without really having a rebuttal, without having a spine to stand on. Softball question after softball question after softball question. While Putin hit the home runs one after another, getting his message across. And then finally, Tucker Carlson started kissing the feet of Putin about the one poor guy who's ethnically Russian but a citizen of the United States who's in jail on fake charges of being a spy. Why? Because he wanted to take a video of his homeland and show it in the news and talk about how the people are living. Apparently, if you talk about how the citizens of Russia are living, that is being a spy. And because of that, Tucker said, out of your greatness, can you just grant this guy the chance of being freed from prison so we can take him back home with us? And of course, Putin has to say, no, we can't do that because we've done this in the past. Who did he do this in the past with? When they needed to free a lesbian female basketball player for United States who's on drugs and a BLM supporter. And in return, Biden had to give a person who's a mastermind behind selling of serious military-grade weapons in the black market. And who buys from black market? Terrorists and countries that have a ban on the sales of military weapons, like Iran had a ban, and so on. So these are the people that will buy it. Terrorists like Hamas will buy it. Terrorists who want to come into this country of the United States who want to do terrorism will eventually buy it. Those are what they let. And Putin says, no, CIA is in the working channels. They're having discussions. If that discussion can end in one day. What discussion are you waiting for? So now that's how that went forward. And Tucker had to thank him. And every time he had a question, like, for example, when he asked about the era of AI, Putin pulled the old mullah tricks of Iran. You are not intelligent enough and have enough knowledge about that topic to ask me such serious topic. I will only tell you that when you go and you research and learn and come back as a scientist. Like as if Putin himself is a scientist. You know, these guys, they go around, they just add titles to themselves when they don't have it. So that was that story. The following link down here. Okay. This is, again, for the Senate and what they did. You see, some of these Republicans, they pretend they're not rhinos, but then they show that they're all rhinos. The bill was supposed to send money to Ukraine, Israel, and it was supposed to be for the border. But in reality, we've seen lots of bills like this that are supposed to be for the border, but they never do anything to stop people coming over the border. All they do is they take the money that was supposed to be for border control, and it gets refinanced into paying for illegal aliens who come here from the border and then stay in 4- and 5-star hotels like the Hintons and the Radissons and the rest. So in Senate, they said, no, we're not going to do that. But instead, some of the rhinos got together with Mitch McConnell, head of rhinos, and they passed a bill just for Ukraine. This Mitch McConnell, Mr. Turtle over here, who's been there as long as dirt, who now also has brain farts where he can't remember the questions you ask him. Yeah, that guy. And then we're going to go to a video. Long ago, in the Persian language, when I used to get invited to go to other channels before I started my own channel, I had told the Iranian people back from the COVID era, when COVID era just started in 2019, and COVID had not come to the United States yet, and we used to see all those videos in China where people turn into zombies and they walk in front of a bus and the bus goes and takes them over and all that. Back then, I said to the people that the globalists who are pushing this COVID business and are going to be making money off of COVID in terms of pharmaceutical companies making drugs and vaccines and all this, and the amount of people that are going to be dead, and they're going to say that the experts, the pathologists have done their studies and said that these people died of COVID and so on and so on. I said there's a large group that are also going to be killed by a coming World War III. And back then I said that the plan that they had has to have two countries to start it in Europe. Then they need two countries in the Middle East. And then they need two countries in Far East Asia. And then they can get African countries and the rest involved as well. And I said back then that one of the two countries from Europe has to be Russia. And Russia is going to start something with somebody. And we saw that that happened. Russia and Ukraine got into it. And then we saw that in the Middle East, my prediction of Iran and Israel getting into a conflict happened on October 7th. Because all these terrorist organizations, they work for Islamic Republic of Iran. Behind all of them is the hands of Ali Khamenei, the cockroach. And if you want it to stop, you have to take out Ali Khamenei, the cockroach, and his government. If you don't take out the Islamic Republic of Iran and free the people of Iran from the Islamic Republic of Iran, there will always be terrorists in the Middle East who will go after innocent people and blow them up and kill them, commit their terrorized acts. This will continuously go because Ali Khamenei, the cockroach, will finance terrorism. And we see that that's going on. I also said in the Far East, the first excuse will be China going after Taiwan. We noticed when Winnie the Pooh, President Xi, came to see Biden in California, in San Francisco, he talked about how he wants Taiwan, and Biden didn't say anything. Now we're going to look at this guy. This guy calls himself Big Wild Cat. He doesn't know that there is actually a cat called a wild cat, and it is a big cat, but it's not a tiger, and a tiger is not a wild cat. But of course, he is a Chinese person in the government of China, living in China, and therefore, as usual, they think they know way too much, but they actually only know very, very little. So he put this picture of a tiger, thinking that a tiger is a big wild cat. No, there is actually a wild cat. And now he's going to tell us different viewpoints of his. His real name is Wang Yi, but he thinks that outside of China, the non-Chinese people have difficulties pronouncing his name, so he wants to go as Big Wildcat. But his real name is Wang Yi. So we're going to see what Wang Yi is going to tell us. Apparently, he's telling this to the Chinese people because, you have to work on your own people if you want to take them to war, and you have to make an enemy for them, and you have to show them there is an enemy. And of course, he has to do what his state government says to do. So we're going to read what he says. And I know that you guys are the English viewers. You can read it. You don't need me to help you. I can blow it up. Maybe that will help you a little bit more. Let's see if that makes any difference for you if I blow it up. So I'm going to play the video, and we're going to hear him talk. And of course, in English, the subtitles are there, so you will be able to read. Yes, that's better for you. Let me make it smaller so I can see where the button is, and then I'll make it bigger. 定调战后秩序，利用台湾牌敲打美国、以色列。2024年1月14日，中共中央外事办主任兼外交部长王毅到访了
金砖成员国埃及分别会见了埃及的总统和外交部长。那王毅干什么去了？王毅这一次的目的，支持埃及声援巴勒斯坦，稳定欧洲，这是他的目的。但是呢，他必须得有一个前提，就是要论证美国违背了战后秩序。这个是很有意思的。这一次王毅到埃及去访问，体现了大国外交的精髓，一环扣一环，是相当的严谨，非常非常的精彩。怎么回事呢？首先一个，利用战后秩序来震慑美国及相关盟友，你怎么能证明美国违背了战后秩序？如果美国没违背战后秩序的话，你再去另起炉灶，显得非常的不得体。你首先得证明美国呢，它违背了战后秩序。什么意思？你破坏战后秩序，所以呢，我就可以改变一下所谓的战后秩序，因为这个战后秩序对我来说也是不公平的。那怎么办呢？台湾是一个非常好的工具。中国是什么？中国是超级大国，中国是世界上响当当的大国。中国可以制造自己的标准，中国也可以创造自己的体系。那现在我怎么办？要拿巴勒斯坦跟以色列来创造一下这个体系了。你打台湾牌在先，台湾牌是一个虚的，真正的东西在哪儿？在巴勒斯坦、以色列，这就定调了。因为美国违反了战后秩序，那现在呢就应该惩罚美国。怎么惩罚美国？惩罚美国那个最痛苦的部位。我之前说过，以色列是美国的什么？以色列是美国干呐！现在这个逻辑通了吧？中国要干什么？带着全世界搞两国方案，两个主权国家的两国方案。巴勒斯坦在以色列的旁边成为一个主权国家，然后在以色列的边上允许中华人民共和国驻军和建立军事基地。你自己好好想一想，这意味着什么？醉翁之意不在酒啊！你以为是台湾，没想到是以色列呀！这个问题实在是太大了。我们现在看到了王毅谈红海危机，王毅谈红海危机，想解决红海危机的目的是什么？这个目的是在中东孤立美国。为什么要在中东孤立美国呢？因为中国要抢夺中东未来的产业标准呐，石油人民币呀，新能源人民币，这才是关键啊！所以这一次王毅谈红海危机，他谈到了原因，原因是什么？巴以冲突的外溢。美国、英国袭击胡塞武装没有联合国的授权，什么意思？就是你的行为是非法的，你破坏了战后秩序，你破坏了联合国的秩序，你破坏了联合国的权威。那中国会不会授权呢？那肯定不会啊！中国不会授权，那你就不能打。那你要想打，你就破坏了什么？破坏了联合国的秩序嘛。中国需要做的是什么？证明美国是违反战后秩序的那一个。中国随后建立的新秩序，这就是大国竞争。什么重要？什么重要？台湾这个小破岛子早晚都可以收回来。但是关键点是什么？世界的秩序我要抢夺，就是这个。你现在要证明美国是什么？美国是麻烦制造者。当你证明了美国是麻烦制造者之后，你就怎么办？改变美国的秩序。如果他不改变，你就自己创造秩序，就这么简单。这才是大国博弈。然后呢，王毅谈到了什么？谈到了巴以局势。巴以局势他这么说的：巴勒斯坦问题已经延宕了76年，台湾问题已经延宕了70多年。你看看，如出一辙。这一历史不公不能再延续下去了。祖国必定要统一。你看看这个共鸣，看看这个共鸣没有？你看看这个过程啊。利用台湾牌论证美国违反战后秩序，利用违反战后秩序连结巴以问题，利用联合国权威道德约束美国，利用违反联合国宪章在中东孤立美国，通过支持埃及稳定欧洲，通过两国方案获得中东产业石油人民币，最后构建中国自己的全球秩序。切入点在哪儿？在台湾。台湾这张牌变成了什么？变成了工具。
Okay, so let's explain what this donkey, big cat, is trying to tell you. donkey. Mr. Big Ken, Mr. Yi is trying to tell you that Palestine is the same as Taiwan. Taiwan is a card, okay? You have a card, okay? You see the card? Everyone sees the card? There's a card, right? Here's the card. You see the card? The card, the card. You see? United States has a Taiwan card. You know, it's like a credit card. Here's my pastor card. You know, you have a card. You have a card. Here's your card. You know, they have a card in their hand like they play games of cards. And, you know, Taiwan is a card for United States. And United States bluffs with this card. You know, that's what it's for. It's to play a bluff game for you. You know, it's a bluff game. But China wants to turn that into a tool. You need a tool. You know, Taiwan has to be a tool, a tool, a tool, a tool. And the United States needs to be punished, because they're going against the post-war rules in the Middle East. Huh? And this retard, this donkey that you saw, Mr. Yi over here, Mr. Yi visited the post-war. He visited both Palestine and, of course, Egypt. But he forgot to tell you that the war between Egypt and Israel was back in the 60s, which means this guy should be like 75 years old if he was an adult at that time and went over there. But he looks like he's like 35. I don't know when he went and visited the war between Egypt and Israel, because he wasn't even born then. But nevertheless, this donkey says he was there. And then he continues, you know, he talks about how we need to kick them out of here because Israel and America, they are both injustices. And for 76 years, according to him, there has been an issue of Palestine. 76 years. Meaning, during the duration of modern Israel, there's been an issue for Palestine. Before the 76 years, when the region of Palestine was under the control of Britannia, United Kingdom, it wasn't an issue. When the white man of England ruled over that whole area of land, it was not an issue. Before England, when the Ottoman Empire was ruling over it, so a bunch of Turks were ruling over it, it wasn't an issue. Before them, when you had the Christian war to defend Europe, called the Crusades, against the Ottoman Turks, it wasn't an issue. Before them, when you had the Arabs invade the area, commit a complete, utter genocide on actual Palestinians, who are people that came from the island of Crete, from Greece, to that area, call themselves Phoenician and Berber. And those Berber, you can find some of them extending all the way to Morocco today. It wasn't an issue. When those Berber Phoenicians were living in the lands of the Jews, right beside the Jews, and the Jews allowed them to come from that island of Crete in over the Mediterranean Sea and into the land and live beside them in the kingdom of the Jews. That's right, Jews, because they had multiple kingdoms. It wasn't an issue. But today, when there is a genocide committed, there is no longer a language of Palestinians. There is no longer a culture of Palestinians. There is no longer an actual Palestinian by blood. And you have a bunch of Arabs running around, calling themselves Palestinian, dressing as an Arab, eating as an Arab, following culture of an Arab, speaking as an Arab, today, since United Nations passed the law that there has to be a country called Israel when United Kingdom leaves, after they carved the whole of the Middle East into fake countries that the English and the French, two white men, decided to create. They are white, aren't they? I mean, the last time I checked, their kings were all white. So two white nations from Europe decided to carve the whole of Middle East, take a bunch of Iranian land and call them Arabs. Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, half of the eastern side of Iraq, and they called it all Arab. And then they took the other side, which was the land of the Jews, the Israeli land, which is half of Lebanon, the western part of Syria, all of Jordan, the occupied areas of Palestine in the West Bank and Gaza, and Israel itself, and they carved it into pieces and made a whole bunch more of these kingdoms of Arab countries like Jordan. Everyone's got a little Arab kingdom going on. Now we have an issue. The issue is Israel. Why is there Israel? There's a 76-year problem for the Palestinians that this guy's talking about. And he says the Palestinians are the same as the people of Taiwan. I mean, they're the same. Of course, they're the same. Come on now, they're the same. I mean, if you go to Taiwan, you see they're all dressed like an Arab. They all say, and they all eat, falafel. And, they're all yelling at the Jews. And all of them are terrorists. That's what we find in Taiwan. Apparently, according to what we are being taught geographically by this guy, Mr. Wildcat over here. Oh, sorry, Big Wild. Mr. Lee wants to teach us. Wang Yi is going to teach us new history. All the people in Taiwan are Palestinian. And according to him, all the Taiwanese, they're all Chinese of his. They belong back to China. He wants to take them back to China. And he keeps talking about United Nations. But the same United Nations said there has to be an Israel. And then he talks about America breaking the laws. America breaking the laws of the Middle East. Why? Because America wants a new world order. I got news for you. It's not just Democrats and the Rhino Republicans that want the new world order, meaning the whole world underneath one government. No, you have a lot of European countries working on it. China's working on it. Russia's working on it. Arab countries are working on it. Islamic Republic of Iran is also working on it. They all want a new world order. The problem is, who should run the new world? That's where the superpowers and those who claim they are superpowers are fighting for it. He refers to China as a superpower. But just look at it. I mean, he still has to use the little microphones in his ear to talk with. I mean, in the United States and the Western country, we don't use it. Do you see any in my ear? No, we don't use that anymore. Our technology is far past. This guy is about 30 years behind the United States, and he's a government official. We're not talking about some random guy in China compared with a random guy in the United States. We're talking about the Chinese government and what they have backing them compared to a random person in the United States. And he's about 30 years behind. He's just a step over dial-up. Dial-up, ding, he used to make noise. He's just a step over that. You can see the quality of his, you can see my quality. You can see how he has to use these little earphones and all that. And you can see how we use better technology. This Chinese government can't compare to me, and I'm not rich. So how is he a superpower? He's a superpower in what? Is he going to go join some cartoon and become a superpower hero? Then he talks about he wants a sovereign two-state nation like Biden was saying, except because Biden is not going with the United Nations rules. You have to go by United Nations rules, which means that his country of China can come and put a military base inside Gaza by the borders of Israel. Why you need a base right by the border of Israel? What you going to do? Are you planning on invading Israel? Is that what you're trying to tell us, that China wants to invade Israel? Is China trying to get involved in this war with Israel? Is it because Islamic Republic of Iran buys Chinese military weapons with the money made from the Iranian oil that belongs to the people of Iran, and then sends those weapons over to terrorist organizations like Hamas, Hezbollah of Lebanon, Islamic Jihad of the same Palestinian Arabs? And are you worried that now Israel is dismantling Hamas in Gaza, and because there's going to be nothing left of Hamas, Iran will not be able to buy the weapons of China to send to Hamas and pay for it with the oil money of the people of Iran, and now that's hurting your buttocks. And that's why you want to get involved in the war. You got to prolong the sale of Chinese weapons so you can make some money. Mr. Wang Yi. I mean, you're talking about holding cards and playing poker. You're not very good, because I'm not good at poker and I can read your hands. And then he talks about we need to isolate United States from the Middle East. We need to pull them out. And instead, China will come in there. China will be the competitor. China will be the one who will make sure that they put military bases everywhere. China will be the one that will dictate oil. And he has a problem with the Americans and the British defending the route for ships, cargo ships, who are going to be taking Chinese junk products out of China and moving it along to other countries, where people in other countries can use the products they've paid for already. He has a problem with that. He says we should leave the Houthis so they can continue to bomb civilian cargo ships, not military ships. Cargo ships are not military. They do not belong to any government as far as a military point. They're just there to take goods from one country to another. And he has a problem with that. He says you shouldn't bomb the Houthi terrorists, because when you bomb them, you will eventually get rid of the Houthis. Who else can China sell weapons to through Iran? And then he talks about China sooner or later will get Taiwan back. Are you trying to tell us that you're planning the World War III? Because that's what Dr. Mossad said, that you will attack Taiwan. You keep talking about wanting to take Taiwan. America is breaking the laws by defending Taiwan. Are you trying to say you want to take over the technology industry of the world by taking out Taiwan, so that the American companies that are doing business in China and Taiwan right now will have to leave those companies and that you, the Chinese government, not the people, you, the government, can confiscate them and start being the bosses of those companies? Is that what you're trying to do? Take them all over with muscle, force them out of your country, take over Taiwan, and then we know what's next. You're going to say, we don't want these companies to restart their companies in other poor countries around you. So that means you will invade Vietnam, Thailand, and the rest. Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia. You're going to go after everybody, right? Which would give a green light to North Korea to attack South Korea. And if Japan wants to say anything, you will attack them next, right? The plans of China. And that's how you're going to push your world war. And you want to take over the Middle East so that the United States is out of the way because you need the oil to finance your war. As long as the United States is in the area keeping peace, which they've been doing, you can't finance your war. You need oil. And if the United States blocks the oil from you, if you try to become a mischief maker, it becomes a problem for you. And then you talked about you want to become the leader of the one world government, a new world order. You said China has to be the leader. So you came back to the same words. You're part of the globalists. And that's an internal struggle between the globalists. Which country should lead it? Which group of officials should lead it? And all of you have a problem with Donald Trump because he has an America First policy, which dismantles your idea. It dismantles all the globalist ideas. You, Putin, Biden, Kamala Harris, and the rest. Let's go to the next video and see what Nikki Haley's been up to. Namorada has a bunch of
to debate Nikki Haley.
Let me pull it to the side and we'll pull it back. We have to go back to Namorada and see what Namorada has been up to. Okay, Namorada. Let me bring up for you Namorada. Soon you will have the video up on your side. Namorada, as you all know, started off pretending to be a Republican. Then she pretended to be a rhino. And then she went full-fledged Democrat. And now the Democrats are the only ones who are really giving her a spotlight. 99% of her spotlight is from Democrats. And Democrats see her as a joke. So, you know, they'll show her off as a joke. So they put her on SNL. And whatever got put on SNL, Joke CNN decided, well, we'll make that into an official news and we'll portray that on our news so that, you know, they don't fall behind MSNBC, which is the other hee-haw group. So this is SNL. You got Alec Baldwin pretending to be Donald Trump. And Alec Baldwin hopefully soon will be charged with the murder in his case and will be sent to prison so that we don't have to see his stupidity and ugliness and his attacks on Donald J. Trump. But here Nikki Haley is on SNL because she wants to debate Donald Trump so bad, so bad. So she has to play in a movie on TV as a dumbass comedian in her role. So let's see what Nikki Haley's doing.
One question is, why won't you debate Nikki Haley?
Oh my God, it's her, the woman who was in charge of security on January 6th. It's Nancy Pelosi.
For the 100th time, that is not Nancy Pelosi. It is Nikki Haley.
For the 100th time, Why don't you learn how to pronounce names instead of going Nancy Pelosi and Nakahara? Why don't you learn how to say the names properly and say Nancy Pelosi and Nikki Haley instead of short forming the letters when you're pronouncing them for the last 100 times? I mean, Donald Trump one time was trying to say a name and said a different name. Happens to every human being on the planet. And you are saying for the 100th time. Why don't you eat less and work out more for the 100th time? Okay?
Are you doing okay, Donald? You might need a mental competency test.
You know what?
You know who needs the mental competency test? You, Nikki Haley. Because you run around everywhere and you tell everybody how you were the delegate that they sent to United Nations, and you were representative of the United States in the United Nations as the minister, and all this nonsense and all this garbage. But you forget the person who gave you that position was Donald J. Trump, the president. And now you call him Donald? Why? Are you like his babysitter? Are you the babysitter and that's the baby you're babysitting? You call him Donald? Donald? He's your president. And you say he needs a mental competency test. Have you done one? I mean, there's a lot of problems with you when you're sleeping around from man to man behind your husband's back while he's defending the country. Are you sure you don't need one? I mean, you're the same one that said you were not allowed to enter a beauty pageant when you were a child because you weren't white and you weren't black. You don't remember that you didn't grow up in segregation. That was the time of your mother, not you.
I did. I took the test and I aced it. Okay, perfect score. They said I'm 100% mental. And, I'm confident because I'm a man. That's why a woman should.
No. See, wokeism. Oh, I'm a man. I'm mental because I'm a man, And because I'm a man, I got to run and women can't run. And women aren't good with money because, they're women. I'm a man. Oh, we're gonna throw some stuff at the man. And of course, he's white too. We got to throw something at the white guy too. And he's mental, They're all these white men. They're all mental, man.
Never run our economy. Women are terrible with money. In fact, a woman I know recently asked me for $83.3 million.
Yeah, she did. She took a scene from Law and Order SVU and she played it for herself. She went all over the place. They took her to a court. In the court, they said that Donald Trump is not allowed to show anything on his behalf to defend himself with. They decided that whatever she says goes, and no one can say anything other than whatever she says. And we will just award her because she said so, and you can't talk. Your lawyer can't talk. Nobody can talk. Only whatever she said, and we're going to go with it. And by the way, the lawyer for that woman was the student of the judge. So, they're all together.
And you spent $50 million in your own legal fees. Do you need to borrow some money?
Oh, Nikki, don't do this, Nikki.
Oh, Nikki, Namarada. You know that this guy's a billionaire, right? So $50 million is nothing out of a multi-billionaire's bank account. You know that, right? Or maybe you don't understand that because maybe you think 50 million, 5 is the number in front. Of course, that's big. I mean, even Alec Baldwin is right. You don't know how to deal with money. And did you not remember that 50 million was not just for him? It was for everyone who works at Trump Plaza from before he was a president. It's for everyone who became part of his cabinet. It's for everyone who worked in the government during the time of President Trump, who's being charged with something based on how they want to make a hole for Donald Trump to fall into. And it's for his own legal. I mean, he's paying for many, many people's legal fees with that 50 million. Who did you pay for, Nikki Haley?
Nikki Downey. Nikki, don't lose that number. Nikki Haley, Joel Osment. Nikki Haley, Joel Osment, we call her. 6 cents. Remember that one? I see dead people.
Donald Trump never referred to Nikki Haley as Joel Osment. But Nikki Haley wants to, in this skit, wants to throw a shot at Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's what voters will say if they see you and Joe on the ballot.
Oh,
That's what voters will say when they see you and Joe Biden on the ballot. They will say, we see dead people. The American citizens who are showing you in the vote ballot that they're supporting Donald J. Trump, those same supporters are going to say they see dead people? Are you sure, Nikki Haley? Are you sure you don't need a checkup from the neck up?
that's not very nice, Nikki. It's not nice. And I'm always very nice to you, except when I'm implying you weren't born in this country. Even though you're from South Carolina, and now I'm going to beat you.
No, he implied that to Barack Hussein Obama. Ala Barack, ala Hussein, ala Obama. Where the guy's got 3 Arab names. Yeah, he referred that to him, not Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley was born here and grew up here as an Indian kid under an Indian family with Indian culture, and she doesn't know anything about the history of the United States, doesn't even know what the Civil War was about, doesn't even know when segregation was, and sleeps around and is a joke. He never referred to her as coming from a different country, being born in a different country. No. He only said that about al-Barack, al-Hussein, al-Obama.
You stayed.
And then Nikki Haley failed in her SNL because even the Democrats didn't find it funny. So Nikki Haley had to resort to doing something else. So let's see what else Nikki Haley's been up to. Namorada is busy these days, She goes around from city to city trying to hold little programs, and the only ones who show up are the news agents. And the news agents have to clap, but even they can't ask her questions because you have to give her the questions prior so she can go ahead and ask some handlers of hers so they can answer the question so she can read it for you like Biden does from a teleprompter. So let's see what else Nikki Haley's up to.
Everybody hates you.
So now she's reading tweets. Tweets, everybody, tweets. She's resorted to reading tweets. Let's see who these tweets are from. Red, White, and You. That's a fake name. Everybody hates you.
Really? I think my husband loves me.
I don't think your husband loves you when he found out about all the people you've been sleeping with while he was in Afghanistan fighting for the United States. I don't think he really loves you when we see you with Governor Sununu running around in his sports car late at night, fogged up windows, with your husband nowhere in sight. I mean, what kind of woman is running around with a different man in his car at night without his own or her own husband around? I don't see you with him.
I'm genuinely terrified.
Another fake name. Well, of course, behind all these fake names, there's some Democrat sitting there and typing. So maybe she can rebuttal one of them.
Of Nikki Haley. Any man who knows how vindictive, evil, short-sighted, and psychotic women can be, this guy can't be married.
No, this guy's a transsexual. That's why, you know, the trans are leading their way. They're now taking your place, you women, in sports. So now they can represent you, the women. So of course it makes sense that they would think you're psychotic because you want them out from women's sports and they want to be in women's sport. So they have a problem with you. And so they're writing this. No Mega or anybody else is terrified of Nikki Haley because Nikki Haley is a joke. You can't be terrified of a joke.
Coupled with a basic understanding physiognomy, takes a single look at Nikki Haley and is terrified. I genuinely believe her victory would spell the end of the free world. Dude, I don't even know what to say about that.
I know what to say about that. CNN and MSNBC kept saying how if Trump comes in, that's the end of America, that's the end of the world. And everybody laughed at them. So now they're trying to say maybe we can make it look like some mega person said that about her. So we can say, you see? But it doesn't work.
What to say about that? That's crazy. Nikki Haley has room temp.
And then they bring another fake name for you. Room temperature IQ. True or false? False. Nikki Haley's IQ is at maximum at 15. You know, she didn't pass 15. I mean, room temperature is somewhere between 66 and 72. False, man, false. Even though you're a Democrat, I got to tell you, it's false. Her brain, you know, her IQ is only about 15. Maximum 15. I mean, no. She doesn't know what the Civil War was about, and she grew up here. She doesn't know when segregation was, and she grew up here. She went to the United Nations so that she can stop the Islamic Republic of Iran from killing Iranians when they were protesting that women no longer should wear hijab, and they want freedom, and the people of Iran want freedom, and none of them want Islamic Republic of Iran. And over there, she sat in front of a bunch of communist countries like Uzbekistan, and a bunch of countries that were representing Iran, like Qatar and Kuwait, and a bunch of others from South America who were communist anyway. And she sat there, and they all said whatever they wanted to say. And at the end, all she could do is, we don't agree. You weren't any power. None of them saw you and said, oh my God, we're terrified. Oh my God, we should respect. No. They all looked at you as a joke. And then after that, you quit.
What's your IQ? True or false?
Even she says to you, wow. I mean, she could have said, man, I went to university. I did this. I did that. You got to have some kind of knowledge to do these things. My IQ's higher. I mean, I studied. Could have said something. All she has is, wow. She reminds me of those people that just came over into the United States. They just got off the boat and they don't know anything. And all they've heard is through watching some kind of a TV program, they heard someone on TV go, wow. What are you trying to sound like a cat that's being tortured?
Nikki Birdbrain Haley.
And now we read some Donald Trump tweets so that we can connect the two, you know. Nikki Birdbrain Haley losing big in polls against Crooked Joe. Well, you're losing. He's telling you the truth. You just have a bird brain, you don't understand.
Is losing big, all in caps, in the polls against Crooked Joe. Where?
I showed it last week. Anybody who wants to see it can go and watch our last week program where we showed the same Democrats that came and voted for you, Namorada, in New Hampshire, when they're talking to MSNBC and when they're talking to CNN, and the reporters ask them, if it's between Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who are you going to vote for? And they said, Joe Biden, of course. What are they doing giving you the vote if they're going to be voting for Joe Biden? Oh, they just don't want Donald Trump to run. That's where you can see it, okay, Bird Brain? I mean, open those big eyes of yours and go and watch my program and watch their interviews, and you will see it. Your own representatives, you know, the people that you brought from the Democratic Party to pretend to be Republicans so they can vote, all of them are going to be voting with Joe Biden against you.
I haven't seen. I am beating him all over the place. She is weak on the border. I passed the toughest.
You passed the toughest, or was it Donald Trump that passed the toughest? I mean, he passed such a law that the Democrats started calling it the Muslim ban. And then he expanded it and it threw a bunch of communist countries in there too. And where did you pass yours?
The legal immigration law in the country.
In the country? When were you a president, Nikki Haley? Because if you're going to pass the toughest immigration law in the country, you have to be president. If not, the highest you can do is as a governor for your state. Your state is 1 out of 50. The country is all 50. If you don't know, learn.
I'm the strongest border president ever.
Well, he is. Donald Trump is the strongest border president ever. I mean, he made more of the wall than any other president before him. He passed the so-called Democrat saying Muslim ban. He passed and extended it and put communists in there too. He started deporting a whole bunch. He took away a whole bunch of green cards from Islamic Republic of Iran agents who are here in this country, who al-Barack, al-Hussein, al-Obama gave green cards to, 250,000 of them. The same mullahs in Iran who burned the American flag, their children are all here, running amok. What did you do, Nikki Haley?
Well, then why did you let 3 million illegals come into the country?
Oh, he never let 3 million. I mean, they sneaked in. What do you want from Donald Trump to do? You want him to go walking across the whole entire border 24/7 and be in all positions at the same time? What do you want him to do? They sneak over, they sneak over. They sneak over in every president's term.
Your watch. That's all you have to know.
That's all we have to know, huh? What are you going to say to that? Let's hear her.
Exactly.
Exactly. Hey, Bird Brain, Namorada. President Trump was president for 4 years. You were there for 2 years of it. So 3 million, right? That 3 million means half of it was during the time you were there. So that's 1.5 was also during your time. Why didn't you do anything during that time to stop that 1.5 million from coming in? You're guilty of it too. Exactly.
Just when you think Nikki Haley can't get more annoying.
Again, a fake name, you see? Another fake name.
The next day happens. Wait till tomorrow.
Even she knows she can't rebuttal even the fake Democrats. I mean, the next day she's going to get worse and more annoying. And ladies and gentlemen, the next day happened. Where's the next day? You will see it in front of your screen very short. You know, in Nevada, the Republicans, they want to do caucusing. Anyone who doesn't know what caucusing is when you get together as groups and a representative from this side and a representative from that side, they start talking and they try to pull the views of everybody in the room towards one candidate, so everyone can vote for the same candidate. For example, one will say Donald Trump did this good thing and that good thing and this good thing and that good thing. And the other one might say Ron DeSantis did this and that and the other, and then they will come to a conclusion that Donald Trump did a lot more than Rob DeSantis, and then this guy will say this is better, this guy was this, and this is that, and someone will say Vivek was doing this and Vivek was doing that, and then they'll say Donald Trump was better, and then they'll all end up voting Donald Trump. But the people that are representatives of Nevada, who are mostly Democrat, they have a problem with this. The problem they're having is, if people do that, then it will show that majority of the people of Nevada support Trump, and that becomes a problem for them of how 4 years ago, these same people, according to the official news, voted for Biden. So now they had a problem. So what did they do? They imposed a primary on the people of Nevada, so that in a primary, instead of caucusing, people will just come and they'll take a ballot and they'll check mark the name of somebody on the ballot, and they will say that's who we are voting. In Nevada, the people decided, no matter how many names you put on a ballot, they want the option at the bottom for none of these candidates to also be written there, so they can check mark that if they want it. And in this primary, there was only two choices, like communism. You know, where they only give you two choices? Here's the same. Your choices were Nikki Haley or none of these candidates, meaning no to Nikki Haley or yes to Nikki Haley. That was your option. And the people came all the way down there to vote for no candidates. We don't want Nikki Haley. Meaning Nikki Haley got more no's than she got yes. Who voted yes for a bunch of Democrats, and everybody else voted. Well, here's another source, another Democrat source, The Guardian. The following day, we had the caucus in Nevada, and Donald Trump got 99.1% of the votes, all 26 delegates. And then, who do you think got the other 0.9? Pastor Ryan Binkley from Texas. I mean, there's only three people left in the race: Donald Trump, Nemorada, and Pastor Ryan. Even Pastor Ryan, who you've almost never heard of, and if you haven't watched this program, or maybe a few other ones, you've never even seen his face before. That's his face. Even Pastor Ryan is beating Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley was saying, we're gathering the people. We got momentum now. The people are coming behind us. They're coming. They're rallying behind us. All the Democrats are rallying behind her. And then by the time they get to Nevada, she gets 0. A big 0 is what she got. Where are these people that were rallying behind you, Namorada? And here's the next one from NPR. You know, NPR practically is the state's news agency. Whatever the government says, they put out. Government is a Biden government of Democrats. They put whatever they want. Supreme Court appears skeptical of efforts to remove Donald Trump from state ballot. What is this about? Colorado. You remember Colorado said we're going to remove his name. So now the Supreme Court of the United States is questioning Colorado Supreme Court. What jurisdiction gave you the right to remove the guy's name? They want an answer from the Supreme Court of Colorado. They're questioning them on Was he ever charged with insurrection? What are you basing it on? Because there has to be a charge for you to base something on. You can't just assume and pronounce someone guilty of something without them being charged of it. It doesn't work that way in the United States. I know it works that way in third world countries. Ali Khamenei does that all the time with the Iranian people. That's how he commits his genocide. He just charges them with anything and then ends up hanging them and killing them, even little babies. So that is what the Supreme Court is asking. So it's a good step for Donald Trump. I mean, they haven't said yay or nay, but so far they're questioning the Supreme Court of Colorado, which now has to come back and answer them. And the ball is now in Colorado's court. You know, it's on their side of the field. But let's see what CNN is doing about it. Because, you know, CNN, they have to do something. After the questioning, Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago came out and gave a press conference talking about that. And Donald Trump started to talk about what led to the insurrection. He started to talk about during his time, how the affairs were going, how they're going now. And he started to talk about the political things that he did and why people are rallying behind him, why they wanted a peaceful protest saying that they don't believe that Donald Trump lost on January 6th. So he's going to name some stuff. CNN is covering it. Let's see at what point the red line, the threshold that CNN can't take it no more. At what point they stop the view and feed of Donald Trump and what they have to say about it after. Let's listen in together.
They broke Iran, and now you have a very rich Iran. Iran was broke when I left. They had no money to give to Hamas. They had no money to give
we had a broke Iran, and now we have a rich Iran. Iran was very broke when I left. And now we have a rich Iran that's financing Hamas. The minute CNN heard this, that's it. That's it. He couldn't take it no more. Okay. No more. Don't talk about Islamic Republic of Iran that way. We need those mullahs. Don't tell the people that Biden is the one that's supporting the brutal regime of Islamic Republic of Iran that's committing genocide on the Iranians for the last 44 years and is committing terrorism across the world, from Australia to Germany to Belgium to all over the Middle East, is behind the terrible acts of October 7th. No, don't tell the people Joe Biden is the one that's freeing money for them left, right, and center, removing bans that were put on them left, right, and center, removing bans that restricted them from buying military weapons from powerful countries like Russia and the rest. No, don't let the people know Joe Biden is the one doing all that. Don't let them know he's the grandpappy of Ayatollah Khamenei, the cockroach. Then what happens?
I think we have gotten all the legal analysis we're going to get out of President Trump. You know, it's
so here we have a bunch of monkeys. And by the way, monkeys are not all blacks. You got a lot of white monkeys too. You got creamy looking monkeys. You got all kind of monkeys. Here are some monkeys in suits. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 7 monkeys sitting here. Okay. And of course, they have to say something, you know, the facts were being dropped. Some CNN viewers, if there's any left, just heard some facts. And now they got to downplay that somehow. So, oh, that's all the legal we're going to get out of it. That's all the legal. We're not even going to let them talk. Okay. and then the rest have to laugh like a bunch of little kids, you know, like 3-year-olds watching Pokeroo in Canada or Sesame Street or something like that, and Elmo comes along and everyone starts laughing. Oh, look at them. They're going to laugh too.
Odd there because
Can I just?
this was actually an opportunity for him to come out and say, well, it's not.
The fake laugh is so stupid. I mean, he doesn't know if he's going to choke or if he's going to laugh.
Because he wants to talk about himself. He doesn't want to talk about the Supreme Court and say, oh, the Supreme Court did a nice job today. He just wants to talk about what's on his mind himself.
He just wants to talk about himself. I mean, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump came out of Mar-a-Lago. He said, I'm a man. I'm a handsome man. I'm a 6'3", 280-pound man. I'm a man. I'm a real good man. I wear a size 12 shoe. I'm a good man. I'm a really good smelling man. I mean, you heard him talk about himself, right? I'm a man that loves my cook. I'm a good guy. And you saw him do that, right? He probably did a little dance too. I mean, why not? He wasn't talking about other people. He wasn't talking about the world. I mean, when he was talking about Hamas, he's Hamas, right? When he's talking about Iran financing Hamas, he was talking about himself. That wasn't about the world. Come on. It's only about what's in his head. I mean, the guy's worried about the world turning into World War III, and he's talking about it. He's trying to save the planet. And you talking about him talking about himself. What else you got to tell us, clown?
I'll just say, someone didn't tell him that this sounded like good news for him today. Clearly, I mean, it wasn't just the rambling sort of campaign speech, but if he had simply listened to the analysis afterwards, he would know that it sounds like he's in good shape.
Or George.
I mean, he wasn't listening. If he was listening, he would know that what was being said was not good, but he was just rambling for votes. He was just rambling. And if he listened, he would have known that it was good for him. So was it good for him or not good for him? What the hell are you trying to tell us, clown? But, you know, old monkeys, they forget. So here we have like a 200-year-old monkey here with all the beauty makeups that they put on her to make her into Maybelline. And she finally came out with some beauty stuff on her so that instead of looking like 200 years old, she looks more like 70 years old. And so, of course, she has to scratch her head and think what she's trying to say. She doesn't even know what she's trying to say. I mean, nobody knows what she's trying to say. She was the one who's rambling.
His point, which is that he doesn't even care. He just wants to change the subject back to whatever his. But
at this point, he just doesn't care. You know, he's got a court case. He doesn't care. Yeah, he doesn't really care. That's why he's got all kinds of lawyers fighting for him. That's why the guy's giving you a press conference. But he doesn't care. And if he didn't care, he'd be sitting back eating some popcorn.
He's going to care when the court acts on the immunity case, right? And I think that's the real question now.
Okay, Four Eyes over here is trying to tell us he's going to care when the court acts on the immunity case. There are two different cases. The case we're talking about is why his name has been taken off the ballot in Colorado by a Supreme Court of Colorado, claiming that Donald Trump was charged under insurrection against the government of United States, the government of which at that same very time is the government of Donald J. Trump. So initially, what Colorado is telling us is that Donald Trump is committing insurrection against Donald Trump. Did you get that? Donald Trump was still president. And he's committing insurrection against the president of the time, which is himself. So he's doing insurrection against himself. Now, this Four Eyes brought up the immunity case, which is a whole different case. We'll get to that immunity case in a second.
The justices are going to go back. They're going to vote in their private conference for how they're going to come out in this case. And then next week, they're going to get an emergency application from President Trump seeking to further delay the January 6th prosecution here in DC.
So at the end, he says, and then they're going to come and they're going to delay the January 6th prosecution. So January 6th prosecution and the immunity case are different from each other. And now they're going to delay it. So when they delay it, they're going to delay it. It's not going to come up. And then we see the following. The following is from the English version of Al-Mayadeen, which is a Islamic online TV and free-to-air type satellite system. And they are now giving us the information that Israel created another kutlet by killing another IRGC advisor to the Arab regions of terrorism, of all these Hezbollahs and Khatim al-Hezbollahs and Ashtar al-Shabis and Mahdiyuns and Fatimiyuns and all the other idiots and the Mahdi brigades and all the other idiots that they have there that are terrorists. And there's the source for it. And they're sourcing the Iranian media, identifying the martyred IRGC member, Saeed Ali Dadi. Who's Saeed Ali Dadi? This guy. The guy that has no beard and is wearing a short shirt. The t-shirts in Islamic ruling for men, when you wear it, the sleeve should be over the elbow, okay? As you can see for this guy, it's not over his elbow. So he's breaking Islamic attire laws and he has no beard. So he's breaking another law there. But these guys, the ones that don't have beards, they're far more dangerous than the ones that do. Because these are the ones that are used by the government of Iran to mingle in with the people. And then what they do is they find people, they spy on them, they get them trapped, they kill them. And then what they'll do is they'll find people who are rich and they'll target them. How do you target them? It's very easy. You go and kidnap their wife, their daughters, their kids. You rape them. You send them little clips of the rape. You break their teeth. You break their bones. You pour acid on them. And then you tell the guy, you want him to be freed? Finance us. You create a money laundering scheme through their work, their business. They don't have the money to do that kind of thing? No problem. You can become our truck driver. You're going to drive our missiles from Iran through Iraq and through Syria into Lebanon. You can't do that? That's fine. We got to pass the drugs that we get from the Taliban, and we got to pass that into Europe, or the drugs that the drug cartels in Mexico have that are being financed through Hezbollah of Lebanon for uranium and other things, kidnapping and whatnots, abductions and so on. The drugs that come that route, you will take that out into Europe too. You will push our drugs for us and be our mule, and many, many, many other ways that they can use them. It's people like him that do that. They blend in pretending they're not Muslim, or they're not really religious, or they're not anything else, or they're here because they came from Iran to Syria because they want to be able to sell some Iranian handmade goods and they want to establish connection with the business society. This is how they get into the business society. Then they target the business society. And on the other side, we have from Iran International, the news agency. Finally, Mark Zuckerberg, for once in his life, he did something right. Hopefully, all the other social media companies follow his lead and do the same. So far, the father of terrorism after Biden, Ali Khamenei, the cockroach that you see over here, his Instagram and Facebook accounts are suspended after the killing of millions and millions of Iranians and millions of Jews. Finally, they took the right step of suspending his account. And then there is the Mullah team. It used to be called the National Team of Iran, Team Melli, but it no longer is a team that supports the people of Iran. We saw them at the World Cup, how they were laughing at the same time that Iranians inside Iran were being killed. We saw them everywhere else. Now they go to Qatar. Now they want to pretend to be real Islamic, and they think they can portray the people of Iran as real Muslims. They don't understand 90% of the people living in Iran don't pray no more. They only fast because they're forced outside. When they go home, no one fasts. They don't understand that the people of Iran, until today, until this very moment that I'm speaking, are being killed because they're protesting. They don't want Islamic laws. They don't want an Islamic country. So they go to Qatar for the Asian Cup in soccer. And they pretend that they're praying out in the street. I mean, Qatar has hundreds of thousands of mosques. They could just walk into any mosque and pray. Why do you have to do it in the middle of the street? Show off, show off. We have to show. We have to show that we're praying. We have to show so that somebody from Japan or some other country, Australia or wherever, take a picture and put it in their newspaper and show them that Iranians support their government. And then on their own channels, they pray to deities. Oh, Zahra, come and help us win against this one. Oh, this one. Everybody knows, every Tom and Dick and Harry that follows Asian soccer knows that every single game in Asia is bribed. When you get an Arab country playing in it, it's bribed. If it's an Arab team, it's bribed. If it's anything that an Arab has to do with, it's bribed. The head of the agency is Arab, it's bribed. The whole thing is bribed. Qatar is the financer for Team Melli of Iran. They're going to pay Japan. Just don't play. That's how South Korea loses to Jordan. I mean, Jordan, South Korea, who plays in the World Cup and is a formidable opponent for South American countries, now all of a sudden lost to Jordan? Really? And you're telling me that wasn't a bribe? So the national supposed mullah regime team guaranteed that they would come back on the 22nd of the month of Bahman in Iran, the date when the kingdom of Iran left and Iran no longer became a kingdom and became an Islamic republic shortly after. They're going to celebrate the day that the king of Iran left Iran with a trophy from this tournament. Unfortunately for them, they lost. They lost to a man by the name of Ali Al-Mous. Who's Ali Al-Mous? Ali is his first name. Al is the. Mous is banana. Why is the guy called banana? Well, the guy is from Africa. And now he's been given citizenship in Qatar, so he can play in Qatar. But here's the big problem. Arab Muslims, when they invaded other countries and took them over and forced the people of those countries to become Muslim, they gave them insulting names that in Arab-speaking community, if you have a name like it, you're a very low street type person who should not be respected. Hence, there are some words that an Arab would never use as part of his first name or his last name. For example, they will avoid anything that has to do with death. They don't want death to be part of their last name, okay? But when they come to Muslim countries that are not Arab, you will find they'll put words like zabi, which means to sacrifice, like to cut the neck. You know, the slaughtering. The actual term would be slaughtering. They'll put that in front of the guy's last name. You'll get a name like Zabi Allah or Zabi al Muhammad and Zabi al this thing and Zabi al that. Be sacrificed for this and that. Or words like ghulam. Ghulam is literally a slave boy, a slave sexual boy who you can do pedophile with. And you got it right. I said boy, not girl, boy. And you will find a lot of Muslims who are not Arabs, and they'll have in front of their name Ghulam Ali, Ghulam Muhammad, Ghulam this one, Ghulam that one. And in this guy's case, it's from Africa. And you know the saying about Africans, they have a long, you know the word, starts with the P. So because of his long P, that's between his legs, they call him a banana in Arabic. So now the guy's a banana. He's Ali Banana. Because he's, you know, the long thing that's between your legs that shakes. So he's Ali Banana. So Ali Banana scored the goal on the Islamic Republic of Iran. And now Islamic Republic of Iran has to play for third and fourth against South Korea, while two Arab countries of Jordan and Qatar go and play for the cup. And by the way, Qatar's team is made out of South American Latinos, African Black people, and some Europeans as well. And a few people from Qatar as well. You know, the team is a United Nations team. What can you do? That's how it goes, you know. If it wasn't United Nations team, it wouldn't be any different. And since Islamic Republic of Iran likes to say that the deities were the ones who were helping them, why didn't they help them win this match? I mean, they say they're the real religion, the Shia religion. Why didn't their Shia imams help them out when they say that you can ask them for anything? Why didn't they help them? And now we are going to go to Joe Biden, the other big father of terrorism around the world, Joe Biden. The one that CNN tried to stop you from listening to, the one that finances Iran so Iran can finance Hamas and the rest. Now we're going to listen to Joe Biden. Joe Biden's got some stuff he's got to tell us. Let's listen to the first one. The volume might be low. If the volumes are low, I'm going to translate it for you anyway.
Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends.
You heard it, everybody? Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans, which are his friends, they're the reason why the border is not secure, man. I mean, he did a boycott on Muslim countries, Muslim ban. The Democrats said so. He had it on the communists, on all those guys. But you know, it's his fault. It's his fault. Can't be Biden. I mean, Donald Trump stole the guy in charge. Biden just a spokesman. Biden has no power. Donald Trump's the one in the power. Remember last week he told us that he's the sitting president. Donald Trump is the sitting president. He's nobody, man. He's just Biden. And now we go to the next piece of information that Biden wants to teach us. You know, the court case over immunity. Remember, Mr. Four Eyes was telling us about immunity court case over immunity. And they're going to come down hard on Donald Trump over the immunity. What's that all about? Well, when you're the president, if you're working on files and as a president for United States, and you make your own notes on the side, and you want to keep your notes because they're private notes, you know, you made a copy of this file, and then on the copy file, you wrote your own notes. Well, you're allowed to take that with you when you leave office, as long as you keep it in your presidential library at home. As a president, when you leave, you still have Secret Service. A member of your Secret Service team will represent guarding that library for the rest of the time you're alive until you have that library. Well, in the case of Biden, when he was a senator, he was taking files that belong to the presidency with him. How he got them and how he got them out of the White House? Ask Biden. Then when he was vice president, he did the same. He doesn't have the jurisdiction to do that. While taking them in boxes to his house and putting it all over the place, including his garage beside his Corvette, he didn't have a Secret Service security team to oversee that and protect those files. Which means everybody, his wife, his son Hunter, his son's friends, his dog even had access to these files. So they did a review with him to see if they can find out what he had, what was shared. We know his ghostwriter that writes his books had access. And then the guy burned the files that he had access to. And he told that to CIA himself. So they wanted to find out from him what he knows so they can deal with it. And they wrote a big 1,000-page report about it where they said, we cannot charge Biden because his memory is so bad. He can't even remember when his own son died. He can't remember which church, Catholic church they went to for the funeral. He doesn't know that the necklace that he's wearing that was given to him was given by which father, what was the guy's name, what's going on. They said he can't even remember day-to-day things he's doing today, let alone, be able to stand in court and be asked questions and give an answer. So Joe Biden was really mad. He had to come and say something. Let's see what he says.
As a response, in the Gaza Strip has been over the top.
We all know that Israel's response in Gaza Strip is over the top. He doesn't agree with it. How dare Israel try to take out Hamas? This is over the top, man. They're destroying their tunnels under the ground. How are they going to move all these weaponaries to different locations? You're destroying their buildings that they pop out of with these. How are they going to pop out if you destroy the building? It's over the top. When the 4 women soldiers from Israel go and they take prisoners out of 500, 1,000 Hamas terrorists and strip them down to their underwear to make sure that none of them have anything that can explode themselves and march them back so they can be taken back to Israel and interrogated for their roles in October 7th, and where they're still holding the hostages. That's over the top. You're not supposed to do that. It's over the top. How dare Israel fight so hard against the terrorists? It's over the top. Biden can't hold it no more. He has to rip his shirt. It's over the top. I mean, how is he going to finance these terrorists if you keep killing the terrorists?
I think that, as you know, initially,
I think that, as you know, initially,
President of Mexico, Sisi,
the president of Mexico, Al-Sisi,
did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in.
he didn't want to open the gate to allow humanitarian aid to get in. As you know, he always thinks that he's like a 5-year-old child that whispers in the ear of the other one. He always does the same thing. He forgets he's talking through a microphone. So he has to whisper to you so you'd be like, what the heck did he just say? He's trying to say, I told him that. I told him to do it. You know, I told him to open the gate. If you don't understand what's going on, Biden is teaching us geography. You see, this is United States. And this is not really United States, but, you know, it's taking the position of the United States. This is Mexico. They have a border that's connected like that, right? Now, on the other side of Mexico, we have Gaza Strip connected to Mexico like that, okay? So people sneak over the border to the United States from one end. That part, the gate is open. But there is another gate on this bottom part of Mexico, which is connected to the land of Gaza, and that side is closed. And he told Al-Sisi, that's right. I mean, if you thought that in Mexican, they like in Spanish, Mexicans say el, you're wrong. It's not el, it's al. And then the guy's name, the president of Mexico, his name is Al-Sisi, okay? And he's a general too, okay? Now, if you go and you find a Mexican living in Mexico, and they tell you, no, that's wrong, you tell them, liar, liar, pants on fire. Because Joe Biden told you. I mean, the president of Mexico, his name is Al-Sisi, and Mexico is connected to Gaza. Okay? And on the other side of Gaza, as you know, is Israel. You see? There's a whole new world that you didn't know about. The guy doesn't know who's the president of Egypt and who's the president of Mexico. Where is Mexico and where is Egypt? Okay, and he's telling you, he told him so. He told him.
It was not pretty last night. President Biden trying to kill.
And Biden's not done. Biden has more to tell us. Tell us, Biden, tell us. We're all here for you, Biden. We're all here to listen to what you got to tell us. Tell the Democrats what you've done. Tell us.
In Nevada on Tuesday, President Biden said he spoke with former French President Francois Mitterrand in 2021, confusing him with current President Emmanuel Macron.
This was sent to me, so we're going to watch it. So here, he's meeting with President Mitterrand of France. He's going to tell us the story. When he got elected, as president, he went to what you call a G7 meeting. I mean, the name of the meeting is the G7 Summit. So what you call it, the G7 meeting, right?
All the NATO leaders. It was in South England. And I sat down and I said, America's back.
He doesn't remember where it was. It was in the south of Italy somewhere. you know, and when he sat down, he said to everybody, America's back. Like as if we were no longer in the G summit. And then when he got elected, we were in the G summit. I think he's got United States mistaken with Russia. But anyway, America's back, he said.
Mitterrand from Germany, from France looked at me.
And Mitterrand from Germany, from France, looked at me.
And said, you know.
And said, and why, and said, you know.
Why, how long are you back?
Why? How long are you back for? Mitterrand didn't want him there. Mitterrand was like, why are you here? Why? Why did you have to come back? Go, man, go. By the way, Mitterrand died in like the late 1980s, early 1990s. Mitterrand died. He's no longer the president of France. Macron is the president of France. But, you know, he was sitting beside Mitterrand, and Mitterrand was talking to him. And he's talking to dead people. Yeah. Dead people, man, dead people. He also talked to another dead chancellor of England, also of Germany as well. You know, he talked to the chancellor, dead chancellor of Germany as well, in the same week. Because, you know, he's Biden. What was that Nikki Haley was saying, Namorada was saying, if they see the name of Joe Biden on a ballot, they will think they're looking at dead people? Looks like the joke is back on you guys, Democrats. And then we have
Joe Biden.
Something from the Black and Latino community as a gift for you, the Democrats. Okay, let's see what Black folks want to say to the Democratic public and the Democratic Party and the Democratic officials who are running amok on the United States. Let's see what the Black people who you thought are your donkeys that you can control like a farmer does in his farm. Let's see what the Black people have to say to you Democrats.
Man, I'm voting for Trump. Joe Biden, Trump. I'm voting for Trump. Voting for Trump. The whole hood's for Trump. Joe Biden, I'm voting for Trump. Blacks for Trump. Latinos for Trump. United we stand for Trump. Dear white people, will you take our vote? All the Democrats always try to steal our hope. I'd rather have a president with a mugshot than the president pedophile that we got. I'm sorry, Trump, I ain't vote for you last time. They was hating on these fucking lives last time. Made me relate when they hit you with the Rico. Now the whole hood screaming free Trumpedo. Trump, how you get indicted before anybody on Epstein's list? Jesus is my savior. Trump is my president. Saying that you racist, but I don't see no with this. Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Voting for Trump. The whole hood's for Trump. Joe Biden, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Blacks for Trump. Latinos for Trump. United we stand for Trump. Dear white people, will you take our vote? Why the Democrats always try to steal our hope? Get our head over the Rico. Get our head over the Rico. Trump Latino. For you, even if you want to share, you risk your life for the people, yeah. You use our race. You and your son got Ukraine paid. Two step in the name of Trump. We gon' step for Uncle Trump. United we stand, with Trump we gon' vote. United we stand, with Biden we vote. All my people need to wake up. The Democrat Party ain't doing nothing for us. They say Trump a racist. I don't see it. If we call that week, what you done? Mr. President, I'm gonna vote for you even if you're in the jail now. I guess I'm MAGA.
Well, it looks like all of the American public is turning into one unified people behind their president, Donald J. Trump. And it looks like the American people don't want World War III like Nikki Haley does, wanting to come carpet bomb Iran and take on Russia and China and a whole united Arab Middle East and all these other places that Nikki Haley has in her mind. Looks like the American public wants a border that is blocked and not open, a closed one, where people that want to come here the legal way instead of an illegal way. Looks like the American public doesn't want to be forced into having to buy electrical cars that you cannot fuel in the winter because it's too cold for the electricity to run into it, and you can't plug it anywhere, and the plugs are all frozen, and you can't do nothing with it. And looks like the American public doesn't want you to interfere with what kind of stove they're using in their homes and how you want to take their rights away. Looks like they don't want any of that. So you Democrats, you're in a lot of trouble because the American public, they've smartened up. They've seen through your lies and they're not falling for it no more. With that being said, if you like our programs, if you're learning from our programs, if you think they're useful and you're not a member yet, click on the subscribe button. Click on our link tree underneath that. Join us on all the other social medias where I am, so that in case if they ever close down this channel, it'll be easy for you to find my next one. Also, if you're a member or not a member, you can still like the program, leave comments on there, and share the program so we can get into the ears and eyes of more new people. And we'll return tomorrow with Musa Al-Kazim, and we'll talk about the sadistic serial killer Musa Al-Kazim tomorrow. Until then, I leave you all in the hands of Jesus.